The emergency beacon pierced through the void like a scream. Dr. Ellen Ward was 3 systems away when it reached her battered medical frigate, but she recognized the signature immediately. Catherine distress call, priority alpha. Someone was dying. She'd worked with the Catherines before. Proud, wolf-like bipeds who valued strength above all else, they didn't call for help unless absolutely necessary. Their pack structure was ancient, their honor codes even older. They were warriors, hunters, survivors who had conquered 14 star systems through sheer ferocity and tactical brilliance. They were also, Ellen knew, incredibly stubborn. The coordinates led her to a mining outpost on Theryx 7, a barren moon rich in deuterium but poor in everything else that made life bearable. As her ship touched down on the crude landing pad, she could see a crowd of Catherines gathered outside the main habitat dome. Their fur, ranging from silver to deep black, bristled in the thin atmosphere. Their ears flat against their skulls. Fear. She could smell it even through her helmet's filtration system. A massive Catherine approached as she descended the ramp, his scarred muzzle and decorated pauldrons marking him as someone important. His amber eyes fixed on her with an intensity that would have made most humans step back. "Human," he growled, his translator rendering his guttural language into clipped standard. "I am Varak, pack leader of Theryx mining clan. You are the medic?" "Dr. Ellen Ward," she replied, gripping her medical kit tighter. "What's the situation?" "My cub, Kara." The words came out strangled, and Ellen realized with a start that this towering warrior was barely holding himself together. 3 days ago she fell ill. Fever, convulsions, respiratory distress. Our medical officer has tried everything. Broad-spectrum antivirals, cellular regenerators, even neural stabilizers. Nothing works. She is dying. Ellen's heart clenched. "Take me to her. Now." The habitat's medical bay was state-of-the-art by frontier standards, probably better equipped than half the human colonies in this sector. But all that technology hadn't saved the small form lying on the medical bed, her gray fur matted with sweat, her chest rising and falling in rapid, shallow gasps. She couldn't have been more than 8 standard years old. The medical officer, a lean Catherine with tired eyes, handed Ellen a datapad without preamble. "All vitals, all treatments attempted, all failures documented. I don't know what else to do." Ellen scrolled through the data, her trained eye picking out patterns. High fever, check. Inflammation markers off the charts, check. Respiratory alkalosis, muscular rigidity, photosensitivity. She froze, her finger hovering over one particular test result. "Did you check for neurotoxins?" she asked quietly. The medical officer's ears flicked back in irritation. "Of course." Standard tox screen came back negative. "Standard for Catherine biology," Ellen murmured, still staring at the datapad. "But you're on a mining moon. What are you extracting here besides deuterium?" "Rare earth minerals. Some titanium. Why does it—" "Show me the mineral composition reports for this area." Varak stepped forward, his massive frame blocking the light. "Human, my daughter is dying. We don't have time for geological surveys." Ellen met his eyes without flinching. "Pack leader, I think your daughter has been exposed to something your scanners wouldn't recognize as a toxin because it's not toxic to Catherines. But to a developing cub with an immature immune system, it could be lethal." She pulled up the mining reports on the medical bay's main display. There, trace amounts of a crystalline compound the miners had been ignoring because it was economically worthless. But Ellen recognized the molecular structure immediately. "Ergot alkaloids," she breathed, "or something analogous to them." The medical officer looked baffled. "I don't understand. That compound is inert. To adults, maybe. But children—" Ellen was already digging through her medical kit, pushing aside the modern dermal regenerators and nanosuture guns until she found what she was looking for. A small, battered container that looked ancient compared to the gleaming medical equipment around them. Varak's nose wrinkled. "What is that?" "Activated charcoal," Ellen said, already preparing a suspension. "It's one of the oldest treatments in human medicine. We've been using it for poisoning since before we left Earth." The medical officer actually laughed, a sharp, bitter bark. "You're going to treat ergotism with carbon? That's your primitive human solution, Dr. Ward?" Varak's voice was soft, dangerous. "My daughter's life hangs by a thread." "If you're wrong, I know," Ellen interrupted, already at Kara's bedside. But your advanced medicine isn't working because it's looking for complex solutions. Sometimes the answer is simple. Activated charcoal binds to toxins in the gut and prevents absorption. It's crude, it's old, but it works. She looked up at Varek, this proud warrior who had probably never felt helpless in his life. Trust me, please. For a long moment, the pack leader stood frozen. Then slowly, he nodded. Ellen worked quickly, administering the charcoal suspension through a feeding tube, then adding magnesium sulfate, Epsom salt, her grandmother would have called it, to help purge the toxin from Kara's system. The other medical staff watched in barely concealed disbelief as she bypassed every piece of sophisticated equipment in the room in favor of treatments that were literally thousands of years old. Now we wait, Ellen said, checking Kara's vital signs. The wait was agonizing. Varek stood like a statue at his daughter's bedside, one massive paw resting gently on her small hand. The other Kethrins pressed close to the medical bay's windows, their breath fogging the glass. 20 minutes passed. 30. 45. Then Kara's breathing changed. The rapid, shallow gasps became deeper, more regular. Her fever began to drop. Color returned to her gums and the inside of her ears. The medical officer checked the monitors, his ears shooting forward in shock. The inflammation markers? They're decreasing. Respiratory function improving. How? Varek made a sound, something between a laugh and a sob. His daughter's eyes fluttered open. Papa? Kara's voice was weak but clear. I'm here, little one. Varek rumbled, his voice thick with emotion. I'm here. 3 days later, Kara was running around the habitat dome with the other cubs, and Ellen was preparing to depart. Varek found her doing final checks on her ship. Dr. Ward, he said formally, the Therix mining clan owes you a debt that cannot be repaid. Ellen smiled tiredly. Just doing my job, pack leader. No. Varek's amber eyes were intense. You did what our advanced medicine could not. With charcoal and salt. He shook his massive head. Our people have always believed that newer meant better. That primitive meant inferior. You have taught us otherwise. He reached up and removed one of the decorative bands from his pauldron, a sign of honor among his people. I was wrong to doubt you, to doubt human medicine. Perhaps there is wisdom in the old ways we have forgotten in our rush toward the future. Ellen accepted the band with genuine respect. Every species has knowledge worth preserving, pack leader. Kethrins aren't the only ones who've forgotten that. We humans, we almost lost our old ways too, in our rush to embrace galactic technology. I'm just lucky my grandmother made me learn the basics before she died. Varek's ears perked forward, the Kethrin equivalent of a smile. Then I am grateful to your grandmother as well. She saved my daughter's life. As Ellen's ship lifted off from Therix 7, she looked back at the mining outpost. Through the viewport, she could see Varek standing with Kara on his shoulders, both of them watching her departure. Sometimes, she thought, the most advanced solution wasn't the right one. Sometimes you just needed a little charcoal, a little salt, and the ancient wisdom that reminded you, across all the vastness of space, across all the differences between species, that taking care of each other was the oldest medicine of all, and perhaps that was the most human thing about humanity. Not that they reached for the stars, but that they never forgot where they came from.